Right, let's bring you some breaking transfer news, and it concerns you know who, Declan Rice. And the news, as we understand it, is that two big offers are expected to be made for the 24-year-old West Ham captain today. Now, we know that Arsenal already have had two offers in, the last of which, believed to be in the region of £95 million, was rejected by the club. £90 million rejected by Arsenal already. We know that Manchester United are interested. So too, we understand Manchester City as well. So the complexion of this potential move for Declan Rice grows all the time, but we understand that two big offers are expected today. As soon as we hear any more, we'll of course let you know.
Right then, lads, welcome back to Cossy Arsenal Podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Arsenal, Manchester City are going big on Declan Rice today. We are expecting an Arsenal bid as well as a Manchester City bid as well. Manchester City are leading the race as we speak to sign Declan Rice. They have already got the agreement on the player side, just as Arsenal, they have already got the agreement from him to sign for them. They're working closely and they're structuring a much better deal than that of Arsenal. However, Arsenal are also expected to rival Manchester City today. Arsenal will send in a third and final bid for Declan Rice today. Will we win the rest? I mean, it's quite very, very interesting because we've not won one transfer race against a big club. We lost Lisandro Martinez to Manchester United, Dusan Vlahovic to Juve, Moises Caicedo to Chelsea, Mikhailo Modric to Chelsea as well. So at the moment, Arsenal have a very big test. Arsenal have a very, very big day. Very huge hours to come. Very, very big decisions to be made today. Can Arsenal stand their ground and get their transfer record signing? That's what we are diving into. That's what we are discussing. I'm going to be giving you all the details of what Manchester City have done so far and all the details of what Arsenal are doing to win the rest. Hit the like button. Let's get this one to 500. And in the comment box below, who do you think is going to win this one? I mean, I've looked at all the comments on Twitter. It seems that Manchester City fans are really positive. Very, very positive, right? So let's dive into weight. Now, of course, like I reported in the last video, Manchester City have gone in very strong for Declan Rice. West Ham were expecting the move, and of course, after that confirmation that Ilkay Gundogan was going to play for Barcelona, Manchester City have decided to activate and act on their interest on Declan Rice. A bid has been sent in by Manchester City. Now, a second bid will be arriving on the table for West Ham, and that second bid is going to be from Arsenal. Now, we are expecting Arsenal to rival Manchester City's bid directly. We're expecting Arsenal to beat Manchester City's bid directly, and that is something that's going to be very, very hard. However, there is positivism. There is some positivity, there is some optimism that Arsenal can also get their own deal to be better than that of Manchester City. And we are talking at the moment that the preference of the player could be very, very key. The preference of Declan Rice could be very key. Where he wants to go, where he feels that that is the right move for him, that is going to be very key. But at the moment, the two clubs will have to first face off. Manchester City and Arsenal are going to first face off in the next hours to try and win the bid for West Ham. Right? We must win David Sullivan's vote. We must win the consent from West Ham. If Arsenal win, if Arsenal take in a better bid and it's accepted, Rice has bigger chances of signing for us. But I'll tell you this, if Manchester City, like they are leading the race now, go in with a better bid and they beat our third bid, he will go to Manchester City. So this is what is happening. In the last few minutes, Manchester City have prepared a 90 million bid, very similar to that of Arsenal, 75 million pounds in terms of guaranteed payments, 15 million pounds in terms of add-ons. Now, you might ask yourself, where is the difference? This is the difference, and this is where Arsenal are going to be beaten on this race unless we are willing to sacrifice. West Ham will get the money. West Ham will get their total package within 2 years. Arsenal had structured their payment of 90 million within 6 years. So the difference is huge, right? There is a 4-year difference between our structure and their structure. So what Arsenal first and foremost need to do, one, we will have to work on our structure. We will have to agree to pay West Ham all that money within 2 years. The next thing that I've also looked at and I've seen being reported around the media is that Manchester City's add-ons are very attainable, or are believed to be very, very attainable. And I think with Manchester City at the moment, everything is very attainable. If they say if the player wins the Premier League, that is attainable. If they say if the player wins the UEFA Champions League, that is attainable. Now, Arsenal's add-ons, £15 million in add-ons, are believed to be very difficult to achieve and are believed to be very, very unrealistic. So the bid that Arsenal are preparing at the moment, the third bid, the final bid that Arsenal have to go into rival Manchester City's bid, has to have three aspects. One, we have to go in with at least more money. We did go in with 90 million, so Arsenal should go in with strongly 100. The total package has to be at least 100. If we do that, it means we have offered more money than more money than Manchester City, and that could actually sway the swings in our favor. The second thing we have to do is to make sure that the money is paid across a shorter period of time and in less installments. Man City want to pay the money in 2 years, in 2 installments. That is going to be very hard to do. But if Arsenal can increase the price, their fee to 100 million, and then ask West Ham to accept those payments across 3 years, in my opinion, West Ham might feel a little bit tempted. Because like I said in my earlier video, this deal represents a lot to West Ham. It doesn't only represent the fact that they're selling one of the biggest talents that England have at the moment, but it also, it also indicates and represents that status that we have sold the most expensive English Premier League player ever, right? I think West Ham will want that in kind of, for bragging status and everything like that, for privileges and everything like that, okay? So we're talking Arsenal's offer must be much better than that of Manchester City. Arsenal's offer must be hugely lucrative than that of Manchester City. Now, personally, I thought Arsenal were always going to bid again. And there was no question whether Arsenal were going to go up to 100, because Arsenal and West Ham had already agreed that West Ham wanted 100 million, and they agreed that Arsenal were willing to reach that mark. So I think what we're doing literally is low balling, right? You start low, and then you go bigger, and then you go bigger, and then you go bigger, and that is what has been happening. Now the problem is Manchester City are not giving us time to low ball. Manchester City are not giving us time to grow our low ball bids. What Manchester City have done is they have come and they have blown us out of proportion. They have used our same bid, right? Which shows you that they are willing to go to the 100 million mark. Because initially, they have gone with 90 million, right? Which means that their second bid can go up to 100. It can go up to 105, 104, 106, 110 million pounds if that is needed, right? So Arsenal now need to go and change strategy. So we need to change the strategy of low balling, taking our time, sucking the life out of the deal is over. West Ham have won the race of creating a bidding war. They have been patient and they have, marketed it very, very well. And I was watching Simon Jordan on TalkSport, and he said the only way West Ham get the maximum amount of this money, amount of money from this deal, is if they can make sure that they market this to an extent that clubs are dying to bid. Clubs are willing to bid. And for me, I don't know how they've done it, but they've actually done it. They have made sure that every information within the deal has been publicized, so every other superpower, every other big club out there knows what Arsenal are doing, where we are, what we have failed to do, and where we have failed to agree. So, and you look at Manchester City, it's a very, very, very good example of what I'm talking about. City have come in this deal knowing Arsenal's weaknesses and knowing our strength as well. So they know that we have the muscle to spend over 90 million on this deal, but they know that we do not have the financial muscle to spend the 90 million in 2 installments across a very, very short period of time. And they also know that we do not want to make sure, we don't want to make the add-ons realistic. We don't want to make the add-ons very, very attainable. So in the end, Arsenal are planning to sign Declan Rice for only 80 million. They have, for only actually 75 million. They have made that 15 million, realizable in a very long time, first and foremost, and under very harsh conditions. So Manchester City have gone, okay, if Arsenal do not want to add add-ons that are attainable, we will do that. And West Ham are now trigger happy. They've gone, okay, this is a better deal. And Manchester City have also said, okay, we will give you this money, 75 million in guaranteed payments in 2 years, not 6 years like Arsenal. And West Ham is like, wow, this is a much better deal. So what West Ham are doing right now is they are going to wait for Arsenal to table that final bid. And if it is not enough, I don't expect Arsenal to go for bids. It will be a circus. It will be an absolute circus. I don't expect us to embarrass ourselves by bidding 4 times and then losing a player. A deal that we've worked on for 6 months. Actually, you know what? For me, what I feel is honorable for Arsenal is to walk away now. Like, he's going to go to Manchester City. We know that. Walk away now. There's so many other players that I even don't know at the moment whether they fit the profile of what Mikel Arteta would like to have at Arsenal. But it is time to slowly and quietly walk away. I don't have a problem with Arsenal going in with a third bid because I know we will never match the structure. We will never match the period of time that Manchester City have set in their deal. We will never match it. Even if we go in with 100 million, Manchester City definitely will go in with 100 million as well. And they will have a better structure. So why do West Ham want to sell to us? So that when they play the next London derby against Arsenal, that will be in November this year, they have, Rice on the other side of the London derby. I don't see how that makes any sense for me. So Rice, at the moment, Arsenal are going to go in with a third bid, as confirmed by Sky Sports. West Ham are expecting 2 huge deals on the table. Now, we are also hearing that Calvin Phillips is going to be part of this deal. Oh my God, this is bad. This is just getting worse. This is getting out of hand. I tell you what, this is really getting out of hand. Because if they add Declan Rice and they release Calvin Phillips, they still get stronger, Manchester City. But if they are willing to pay 80-90 million plus Calvin Phillips is a 45 million pound signing, a 50 million pound signing, and we know what Calvin Phillips is able to do. We know his ability. We know that he's one of those players that definitely have got the potential and the ability to replace Declan Rice without question at West Ham. And if they add him to the deal, how do we beat them? Now, I've seen that West Ham are interested in Florian Balogun. Maybe Florian Balogun? Maybe. I think Balogun would be such a very good move. Balogun would be such a very, very good addition to the deal. Arsenal can go 90 million plus Florian Balogun. Again, Lucas Kamaka looks headed for Roma. That's an opening. I don't think Antonio is going to be their out-and-out striker every single year for the next 5 years. Balogun is 21, very young, has had a very successful season in France. Arsenal maybe could try to, be persuasive in that way. But if I'm West Ham and I'm offered this chance to sign Florian Balogun, and I'm also offered the chance to sign Calvin Phillips, who would I take? Calvin Phillips, because they're going to have such a huge gap. They're going to have such a huge deficit in midfield. I don't think they have a big deficit up front. And I think even if they had a big deficit up front, there's so many options they have there. You have Mikel Antonio, who has done very well until winning the UEFA Conference League. You have Jared Bowen, who can also play down through the middle as well as a 9. And there's so many other players that can even come to Arsenal and bid for Eddie Nketiah and sign Eddie, right? So there's so many striker options at the market right now. I kind of feel like this boy at Lille Metropole, is it David something, the Canadian? they could get him as well. Like, there's so many strikers on the market. But when you look to replace Declan Rice and you have the opportunity, money plus Calvin Phillips, that is not a deal they will miss. That is not a deal they will actually turn down. But Arsenal are also vigorously working. They were trying to get the things done as well. Now, Fabrizio, actually, it has been summed in, has said that Declan Rice's personal preference could prove very decisive in the context to sign him, and Arsenal have been confident this summer that he wants to make the move to the Emirates Stadium. The prospect of playing under Pep Guardiola at City yet could change that as well. Okay, so Mikel loves Rice. Like, he's such a dominant figure. He's such a dominant, central midfielder. You look at him there. You look at his height. You look at his, possible physical attributes. He's such a physical player. He's such a towering midfielder. Like, he reminds me of Serge Milinkovic-Savic. And look, Milinkovic-Savic is it's very disrespectful to compare Rice to Serge Milinkovic-Savic, because Savic is such a bowler. Savic is such a quality player. But and it's not with bias. I really like Savic, but even without bias, I think Savic has always been a much better player than Declan Rice ever in his life, and better than Rice will ever be in his life. And why he's not played for the big clubs, and he's now making a move to Juve, I will never understand. But personal preference, he's open to joining anyone. He's agreed to join Manchester City. He's a boyhood Chelsea fan. The guy is a hypocrite. He's going to go anywhere that, is leading the race. So let's wait and see.